So, Mark, did you see that picture on X of the New York sign? It appears it's under construction, which means screens, I'm guessing, new screens for it. Progress, I guess, on the strip.
Yeah, what do we need? More screens in Vegas, right? Maybe they'll put the Statue of Liberty up there in actual water and you can see it, and then people will get confused if it's Vegas or New York. Who knows?
That ticker tape part of the sign towards the bottom looks like it's straight out of the 1990s. So hopefully they replace that. They could do a little better, but it's good to see that Aria got its new screens and now New York, New York. What's next?
Cool Ranch on the Luxor. Doritos coming your way.
Do it. So, Mark, let's go down the yellow brick road to the Sphere. And apparently, and this was rumored for a while, but it is apparently going to happen. New York Post reporting this, still not confirmed. The Wizard of Oz is coming to the Vegas Sphere. They're going to redo it. They're still in negotiations, according to the New York Post article, but it does seem like they're pretty far along. It's going to take a while to do, so it might be a year or more before we see this. They're going to remaster the movie, cut it down a little bit, so it's going to be 80 minutes. Apparently going to cost them $80 million, but I can't wait to see Dorothy, Toto, the Yellow Brick Road. I'm all for this.
Yeah, this is kind of bizarre how much it costs. You wouldn't think like taking a movie that's already made and remastering it and stuff and trying to make it fit inside the Sphere would be that cost prohibitive, but I think it would be really cool. I know it's a beloved movie of many. This is the movie my parents would put on when we were kids if they wanted to like take a nap or just not have to deal with us for like an hour and a half, and we would just be like glued to the TV and watch it. So I definitely would want to check it out. But when you're spending that kind of money, this might be like in the Sphere for 3 years.
Yeah, but I think the nostalgia factor probably will play in. It was one of the very first color movies. I don't know the history exactly, but it is a really cool, unique sort of movie, and I grew up with it as well. Of course, Vegas lovers know there's a huge tie-in to Wizard of Oz in Las Vegas. The Emerald City is still there, MGM Grand. That Emerald Green was built to be sort of the Wizard of Oz themed, and they even had the Emerald City, the Yellow Brick Road, had a show inside of it when it opened. Flying monkeys all around the dome over there. So at least we're getting some of that back. Kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, we should need the big lion out front, and then it'd be perfect. You know, all gold, everything. But no, it's cool the tie-in and all of that, and it's a beloved movie that's spanned generations. So I think it's a good pick. Like even people that are young now have probably seen that movie, even being close to 100 years old at this point.
And if they can pull this off, then what other movies can they do? And it's going to be a 360-degree experience, something unlike anything else. So I love this outside the box thinking, and I think James Nolan has a good vision for this. I think he's sort of proven that. It's just taking time to get it all fleshed out, I suppose. So we'll see how that goes. Staying on the MGM topic, there's a new offer that's being targeted. We both received this in our email for the MGM Mastercard. Usually you get 10,000 bonus points, which is $100 after $1,000 in spend for the card. But for this offer, you get 15,000 points, which is $150 in comps, but also 15,000 tier credits. They do double the spending requirement to $2,000, but this is a great way to kind of get you juiced up for status, get you some tier credits that you normally wouldn't get with this card.
Yeah, I think it's definitely more interesting than the traditional offer of just $100 essentially, and no other spiff on top of that. So you're getting like 7 or 8% back on that $2,000 in spend. But I think the real key is if you're close to the next tier, would these tier credits push you over? Would it help? And you can spend your way to status, further beyond that, or maybe use it next year and stuff. I wouldn't put a lot of my spend on this unless I had a way to do it easily, type of thing to earn status. But just the sign up bonus alone, if you're like that close within 10 or 15,000 points of gold, I could see it being worth it, because what's gold worth to you, depending on how many trips you take, if you can get the resort fee waived and all that could save you several $100s over the next year or so, kind of like as an additional to the sign up bonus if you can trigger it and get to that next level.
Yeah, spending on the card, not the greatest, but it does also earn you tier credits. So I know there are people who have that card, they use it. We're more on our credit card side. We don't think this is the best card. Obviously, there are better travel cards out there, but for people who are in the MGM ecosystem and you do the math, that's the most important thing to see if it's worth getting and using. But it's nice to see an increased offer. Check your emails, because the public offer of the 10,000 is still the public offer, but I think they sent this out to pretty much all members, so check for that. A couple of months ago, we talked about station casinos and how they said they were going to go into the tavern business. They sort of are already in the tavern business with their wildfire casinos. They have some smaller ones. In Nevada, taverns are like a restricted license, so you can have 15 machines or less. Although there are some older properties, some older wildfires, and other properties that are grandfathered in that have more than that. But their new tavern brand is called 76. They said they have 7 of these in the pipeline. The first one's going to open up on North Lamb and Centennial, and then they have one opening up across from Aliante, which is interesting. People out there know Aliante was built by Station Casinos and then bought by Boyd Gaming later on. So they're going to build one across the street from that. We got some renderings. It looks very nice. You know, it's basically a bar, but this is the business they want to expand in, and they think there's huge potential there.
Yeah, I think the most interesting thing I found out from all this reading it was the 15 cap. I swear I've been in bars that have more than that, but they probably were grandfathered in. But I'm just kind of surprised, and that's probably the casino machine doing its job, keeping, people gambling at the casinos versus at a bar. But yeah, each one of those has got to be worth a ton of money. If you can fill the bar with, good drink specials or good food and stuff, I can imagine that this is a really profitable avenue or a way to go. And maybe they want to limit that in respect so that people don't skip out on the casinos and just go to the bar.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, they say that each of these sort of things, the taverns, the casinos, every property has a different sort of mix of clientele. And I think they're just trying to capture more of the market and then capture people as they sort of change their lifestyles. Whether you're a tavern person or a casino person, you have a loyalty program that spreads it all. Of course, this is a shot across the bow to Golden Gaming, who owns the PT's brand and is the biggest sort of tavern operator all over the city. They also own Strat, the Pahrump casinos, other stuff. But Station Casinos are sort of moving into their business more than they have in the past. We've also seen them open the Wildfire Fremont. It seems like their strategy really is across the board. Durango opened. We have the Inspirada station, which is another big one. So they're just all over the place and really sort of saturating all markets top to bottom.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to do it and something interesting. And if you have a good team that can run these type of things and stuff, because just because you're good at running a casino doesn't mean you can run taverns, but they have the history on their side. They've been doing it a little bit. So I think that they'll be successful. And it's kind of cool to see, you start somebody out in your tavern and then you work your way up to get them to come over to a casino Durango. It's definitely a different way to do it than you see from the big corporations.
So on to Rio, and Vital Vegas reporting that Rio is laying off 30 people in their management. And this is probably just adjustments as Dreamscape takes over and they're slowly figuring out what they need at the property. They probably overstaffed it, but they have a lot going on there. This doesn't feel like Fontainebleau. It's a little different. A lot of these managers went on to different positions at other places. And I imagine, Dreamscape kind of figuring all this out. They probably had the data from Caesars, but we all know Caesars ran it into the ground. So as it sort of blooms and blossoms in these little areas, as they fix it, they're probably going to have to adjust and figure this all out. So I don't think the sky is burning. And as we've talked about, I love everything they've done there so far.
Yeah, I think Scott's wrong. It's all wrong. You know what the real reason that they're laying off these managers?
What?
Too many globalists eating breakfast there, and they lost too much money on the breakfast. That has to be it. No, I mean, this is kind of weird. Like another angle of this that I find interesting is, would you even go to an opening property? Do they get big sign-up bonuses to try to open a property? And that makes it worth jumping because so many people get laid off from these. And I'm sure they keep the better performing people. So if you're a good employee, you probably have a good chance of sticking. But we hear this every time a new one opens, that they lay off a ton of people. Is it worth risking leaving a different job, trying to stay on there? I don't know. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't know a lot about the casino executive shuffles. There's a whole sort of ecosystem of these people. And I imagine, jumping between properties, getting different connections, getting different experience in different departments as you work your way up within the infrastructure of a casino hierarchy. I imagine it could be, beneficial. Maybe you move up. I don't know what percentage of people they kept on from Caesars when Dreamscape took over, but I don't think this is a huge deal. And Rio has a huge challenge ahead of it. It really became a terrible property that everybody knew it was terrible. And they have a lot of work to do still there. And you walk in there and there's still areas that feel that way. But everything they've done, that carpet is just fantastic. Somebody said I didn't mention carpet on the last show. So there you go. That Rio carpet. Oh my God, I love it. The food hall is great. Everything they've done, the new tavern, the new bar, the rooms are decent. They changed the locks, fixed those issues. And the pools. I haven't talked too much about the pools, but they did a great job there as well. So I look forward to that. And I think whatever management they have is doing a good job. They still have years to go.
Yeah, I think this is a process, but I've liked everything that you've said about it, things I've seen and everything. I haven't been to the property in a while because, like you said, it was so bad that it was like, what's the point of going out there? There's nothing to draw you in. Caesars took away all the fun that the property had. So hopefully they bring some of that back. Hopefully they bring back the shows and everything that they had in the public areas, kind of build up that buzz a little bit more. But this just goes to show that you can keep the property open while you're working on it. Maybe it's not the most seamless experience, but it is possible. And then you see Mirage, on the other hand, that's just shutting it down, and they probably didn't feel like it was worth it when they did it at other properties. But it's interesting to see the two sides of things. Maybe one has more money than the other and is willing to take that on the chin. I don't know.
As a reminder, we have our Patreon. $5 a month gets you access to our weekly after show. Lots of fun there. Great community. Thanks to everybody who supports us. Patreon.com/MTM Vegas for all the info. It's residency time, Mark. We have a roundup of residencies, starting with Blake Shelton, who announced a limited engagement. Some people calling it a residency. I won't do that. February 2025, he's going to do 6 performances at the Coliseum at Caesars Palace. Not a huge surprise that he's going to Caesars, considering Ole Red is a partnership with them over at Horseshoe.
He should just do it at Ole Red. Just sing there. Done.
He needs more seats. He has sang there. He opened it and stuff. But this partnership, I think this was something that was sort of expected for a while. Rod Stewart was moving out, so this made sense for him to move in. But there was some Rod Stewart news. We covered on the last show, Rod Stewart was going to end his residency after 13 years. Well, 2 things happened. First, he got strep throat and had to cancel his final show of the residency. But then he also announced that he's having so much fun that he's extending it. My question to you, did he really have strep throat, or did he party too hard at the barbershop and he just couldn't recover?
Yeah, this is weird. I feel bad for anybody that is a huge fan and bought tickets for that 200th show, which I'm glad that maybe they paid a premium price to go to it and will get refunded, where it wouldn't have ended up being the last show. Or did he back out because it wasn't going to be the last show anymore? I mean, it would still be the 200th show, which is pretty cool, but it's kind of crazy to throw this party, say your goodbyes and then be like, oh, wait a second, 2 days later, let's add 10 shows or whatever.
And I'm just kidding. I think he has strep throat. I'm just taking him at his word. But his shows next year will be March 12th to the 22nd and May 29th through June 8th. So more chances to see Rod Stewart. And then finally, the big news for the residency stuff. Janet Jackson, according to TMZ, is close to signing a deal with Resorts World. Now, remember, TMZ reported that Celine was going to sign with Resorts World. We still haven't seen that. And Janet Jackson's last residency in Vegas was at Park MGM in 2019. But this will be a huge score for Resorts World.
Yeah, I mean, Resorts World has really been hitting the home runs on getting people, at least rumored to be getting people. So it's good to see them potentially get another person. Janet Jackson used to put on an amazing show. I don't know what the 2019 show was like, if people enjoyed it, but she's always been a great performer, so I'm sure she'll have something really spectacular for people. And yeah, Resorts World is what, the number 1 place for residencies in Vegas now?
I think so, especially if they score Celine. Can you imagine that? I think Carrie Underwood is ending her residency there next year. Of course, Katy Perry already left, so there is some change over there, but they came out of the gate swinging with their original residencies, and it seems like they're following it up big with these other ones. Apparently, Janet was offered a residency in London and chose this one because it was more lucrative. So that tells you Resorts World's probably paying up pretty good, and she's getting a nice cut of everything, but good to see that. Across the street at Fontainebleau, there's a new Amex offer, Mark, and we love Amex offers. If people don't know, if you have an American Express card, you can log into your account, and there are different offers. Sometimes they're targeted. I don't know how targeted this one is. I got it on quite a few cards, but if you spend $1,000 at Fontainebleau, you load this off to your card, you spend $1,000, you'll get $200 back. So that's effectively 20% off. Not bad if people already are planning to stay.
I mean, thank you, Amex, for making steak in a box $800 instead of $1,000. The whole world can get it now.
How long were you waiting to say that joke? I know you had that one planned ahead of time.
It got me as soon as I saw it. I was like, "Oh man, steak in a box for $800! What a deal!" Oh, I can't wait.
So this next story, I wanted to bring this up because I'm a little depressed that we don't have an indoor water park in Las Vegas. You go to Macau, and Studio City has this incredible water park, and there's indoor water parks like Great Wolf Lodge all over the country. Vegas still doesn't have one, and Resorts World, at one point there was a rumor that they were going to have one. Anyway, Atlantic City just got one. How does Atlantic City get an indoor water park? The Showboat in Atlantic City, for people who don't know, used to be a casino, obviously a sister property of the Showboat that used to be here. And it's not a casino anymore. It's a hotel. They've sort of stripped out the casino floor and put in arcade games and stuff like that. But they just built this new water park right next door, 11 slides. It looks great. We need one of these.
I did not go into the showboat at all when I was there in Atlantic City, so I've never seen the property. But now that you say that they pulled the casino part out and made it like arcade and more of a family type of thing, this makes a ton of sense. Like at first, I'm like Atlantic City, like nobody wants to go there. One and two, you're putting in this huge water park. I don't know. It just seems like a weird fit. It makes a little bit more sense when you say it like that, but I still can't believe somebody would put that kind of investment into Atlantic City. It blows my mind a little bit. But yeah, anything in Vegas would have been great. Like, even if it's not on the strip, a little bit off the strip for locals and people visiting with family. Resorts World, I think, would have been an awesome place to have it. Hopefully, somebody does something like that. They have the retractable roof at the one in Atlantic City, so you could do that when it's nice out and not too hot. It looks beautiful inside. Something really cool.
Hard Rock has that place all the way in the back where the Secret Garden used to be that's quote unquote for future expansion. Let's do it, expand your pool area, make a water park. We'll all come, I promise. But I don't know, it's kind of cool. I didn't know that it opened in 2023. I just happened to come across it and thought it was cool to share. So we've heard some mixed rumors about the Tropicana demolition date. We previously talked about how the permit says between September 30th and October 8th. Some big influencers in the space have said October 3rd, which is a little suspicious because usually it's at the end of that. But we did hear from one person who said that they've heard from inside sources October 8th at 2 a.m. All of this is hearsay, but thought we would update you. It probably will be October 8th, maybe October 3rd. We don't know, but set your calendar.
Yeah, I think somebody in the comments a couple weeks ago too, when we first were talking about this, like did some research and looked at the most recent implosions, and they always seem to happen on a Tuesday at 2 a.m. So this would line up with that, the last day that it's possible. Maybe they set up everything and get it checked out in the beginning of that opening and then blow it up on the 8th. So if you want to, I would book a room. If you could book something that's refundable or cancelable or free or whatever, if you want to be a part of it and witness it, I think that would be a good date to shoot for.
Yeah, I don't know where the October 3rd thing, everything I had heard was October 8th, but I did want to say that because there are some big influencers saying that that's the date, so don't want to leave that off the table. But let's talk Wynn, Mark, and their earnings call happened, and Craig Billings had some interesting stuff. Now, again, we don't go over all the numbers, but they had a record quarter, which isn't really surprised. There was some struggle a little bit in Macau. Not really struggle because they were up year over year, but some of their properties were down from the first quarter. But overall, like the company is just gangbusters and doing great. And some interesting stuff Craig Billings said about their opportunities in the Emirates, in Thailand, where they're pursuing heavily, and then also their New York casinos. So they're really pushing for that, saying the Emirates is their near-term best opportunity to get a property up and running. It's actually already under construction. I think 10 or 11 stories have been completed. Again, there's no legal framework yet for casinos in the Emirates, so they're sort of building this, hoping that it's going to happen. But he did speak and say that everything is moving as they expected in that realm. So to start there, Wynn Al Marjan Island is moving forward, and that's the new Wynn we're going to get in the world first.
Yeah, I think, even if it doesn't end up happening, Wynn's such a prestigious name and luxury and everything, I think it would fit, just the hotel aspect of it would fit really well in that. If they have to wait to open the casino and everything, I think it will do well. So it makes sense why they would pursue or continue. And I'm sure they have secured some things behind closed doors and everything, but you never know until it's done. So that's interesting. But it always blows my mind, when you see the Wynn earnings and everything and how comparable it is to the other big gaming companies, and they have so many fewer properties. Like, they really get a bang for their buck and do it well. You don't have to have a ton to make it work is what I learned from that.
So one analyst asked about Las Vegas and what they plan to do there. And Craig Billings, their CEO, said, "We will grow in Vegas. It's really a question of when, not if, and we will take advantage of the land bank that we have in Las Vegas. In terms of relative returns, I think the highest relative return that we can quantify now is absolutely in the UAE on Al Marjan Island, which is what we just talked about. But they are going to expand. They're going to keep that land across the street, and their plans are to eventually build an expansion there, it seems like. And that's good news, but it looks like Thailand, New York, they have all this stuff and limited resources, so it might be a while."
What about a Wynn water park instead of a lake?
It would be great. I don't think that fits their brand vision there, but why not? That piece of land is now very valuable, much more valuable than it was with Resorts World open, Fontainebleau a little bit further north, but drawing more people up there. But it is sort of directly next to Resorts World and the Fashion Show Mall. So not only does it connect their property, but also connects the whole strip together much better than it is right now. So I do think it's a great opportunity for them. who knows how long they'll do it. I just think this confirms they're not going to sell that land and let somebody else develop it. They'll either hold on to it forever or they'll develop it themselves, but not going to let anybody else build a casino across the street.
I mean, they can keep throwing parties in the tent over there like they did for Super Bowl. I walked by there and it was bumping. So they still use it sometimes, just not for anything that we can get into.
So yeah, the Paradise Park, never going to happen. I just sometimes think about the bizarro world we could be in when we got that lake where the golf course was, Mark, and how close we were. So yeah, exciting times with Wynn and everything going on, but MGM record earnings, Wynn record earnings, things are going well in Vegas, even if, you know, the F1 in the fall are looking a little slow. So we'll see how that all turns out. But let us know in the comments what you think about everything we talked about today. Wynn's expansion. Are you hoping that happens sooner rather than later? All the residencies. Everything else we discussed in this show, leave a comment. We do 2 shows a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. We'll be back in a couple days with another show. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good weekend, everybody.